she comes across a pair of 2 Triceratops.
Okay? Oh, great.
There's 2 of them. There's a
woman.
Hold
on. Let me try to think of the joke. Yeah, it's going to be a threesome joke with try in it.
If you have to think this hard, I'm not going to stop the podcast just so you can think of a threesome joke involving Triceratops.
Hey.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up? Happy March Madness. Welcome to Say Smut, a literary podcast for readers and non-readers.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. That's Sarah, and she still loves books.
That's Hope, and she still talks to me. Period. Question mark. Period. Each episode, I break down the plots of some pretty wild books to Hope, who has not read them. And I know you haven't read this book because I will not give you the title of the book until we are here and present.
Yeah, there's a non-zero, like it's pretty much a 0 chance, but anything in the world is possible. So there's a non-zero chance that because I don't know the title of this book, maybe I have read it. You can't confirm this information, but I'm going to say I probably have not read it.
I know it's a 0% chance because I found it on an obscure Reddit thread and it has like 11 reviews.
They're all from me. Surprise.
Surprise. She's
my favorite book.
Yeah, she's actually a big bookish girl. Not big as in like physically big. I mean, we're both tall girls.
Yeah, we're tall.
I'll hand you the shovel now, so I stop digging a hole. So if you guys don't know the theme of this podcast, which I feel like we should maybe start explaining for people who are new, I pick out a book and then I tell Hope an obscure thing she has to research that relates to the book, but she does not know how it relates. The headline, I work in journalism, the title of the book was going to give away everything. So
yes. I mean, I can infer based on the genre of book we cover and the thing you had me research what could maybe be the topic of this book, but I'm going to go ahead and let you give me the title right now in my notes. Just say mystery book.
But it's 10 times worse. It's always 10 times worse than you ever expect it to be because it's 13 pages. And they stuffed a lot. And when I say they stuffed a lot in those pages and in other places.
A lot was stuffed.
Excellent. So I am excited to tell you all that today we are reading Ravished by the Triceratops.
That's what I guessed.
Yeah.
Not that I know that book, but like I could guess what a Triceratops might do in this book.
I know. I just wanted to withhold that. It's by Christie Sims and Alara Branwen. I think that's how you say her name. So before we get in, I had a hard time with trigger warnings because how do you even trigger warn something like this?
If you're afraid of dinosaurs.
So if you're afraid of dinosaurs, the female character is freshly 18 and we are obviously going to get sexual. And so some people feel like that precipice, I get that it's legal concept, but it's still, obviously sexual content, obviously bestiality, if we can call it that. And then there is some trauma I'm going to skip over in her past because it was so fucking dumb and I'm just going to graze over it. But it's family trauma, family sexual trauma, but I'm just literally going to say it and goodbye. Okay. Cool. So this book has a 1.5 on Storygraph. Mm-hmm. After reading it, I was like, you know what? How bad could it be?
I rate high. Maybe the review will bump up after this podcast.
Goodreads is a 2.85.
That's higher.
Better. So I'll give you guys the bios of our authors. If those trigger warnings were, by the way, not for you, subscribe, come back, let's chat later. But Christie Sims, this is directly from her Amazon bio. I'm just a plain old everyday Midwest girl that lives a normal life. However, my outward tastes are relatively simple. My inner thoughts are filled with lusty thoughts of big, strong, powerful monsters having their way with beautiful maidens. Almost all of my stories fall under the monster sex genre and come from the inner desires that spring from my mind.
Amazing.
Alara, this is also from her Amazon bio, is not your typical, or sorry, is your typical college student by is not, but is your I just
am our average college student.
She is your typical college student by day, but by night she is a crafter of sexy, hot, sensual, monster, fantasy, erotic fiction. That was a lot of descriptors.
Amazing.
All of her stories are based on her own desires or from previous experiences.
Got question mark. No questions here. It makes sense to me.
When she isn't writing erotic fan fiction, sorry, I am just putting words in here that don't belong. When she isn't writing erotic fiction or listening to her professors drone on about boring subjects, she likes to spend her time watching the sunset over the ocean, playing with her pets, spending time with her friends, and constantly searching for inspiration in everyday life. So lovely. These authors have done multiple books of this type together. Okay. So there are other dinosaur smut books that they have written.
Amazing. This is great.
Are you ready to dive in?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are going to start with our main character, Beliria. Belia.
I'm glad you spelled it because I was going BA. That was going to be not correct.
I think that's how you say it. She is standing naked in the center of the village square.
Oh.
As you do. Mm-hmm. And immediately we are greeted with about 2 long paragraphs describing her naked body. And I want you to know right now, I will be quoting a lot of this book just so you understand. It's not necessarily poorly written from like a grammatical phrasing standpoint. It's just odd. It's odd comparisons. It's odd ways of stating things.
Yay.
So here's one of the quotes of her body, and I chose a more milder passage just to warm us up, you know. Mm-hmm. Quote, "My stomach had a soft roundness, and my hips were wide enough to bear children, should I so desire." End quote.
Well, great.
Great. We are in prehistoric times. I would like to also set the mood. Yeah. She is standing in this square with 2 other naked women. And all 3 of them are on the verge of womanhood. So before they're allowed to become a full member of the clan they are in, they have to challenge. They have to do a challenge. Would you like to guess what type of challenge you would have to do naked in the center square? I guess they're not doing it in the center square. They're just making announcements in the center square naked.
Sure. Is it to challenge and take down a dinosaur?
It is to take down a beast of their choosing. Okay.
I wouldn't choose dinosaur if I got to pick.
Well, I looked up the 2 other options that the other girls choose, and I couldn't find them as dinosaur options. So I don't know if this is a geographical, like prehistoric problem, you know?
I would pick like a bug.
I mean, but also it's supposed to also show how like strong and mighty you are.
I think that shows how strong and mighty I am in the way that I'm intending, actually.
Okay. Well, I also want you to know Beliria's personality. Okay. Also, I am tempted. This is a side note. I am tempted because there is an audiobook for this. Most really niche books and indie books that are just thrown up, because pretty much anything you can write and put on Kindle if you want, most of them don't have an audiobook. Mm-hmm. This is 13 pages. It has an audiobook and a man narrates it, I believe. Amazing. I believe.
And
so
is it written from her point of view?
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. So I want you to get her personality. Okay. Beliria's quote about the other girls when she looks at them. And this is kind of a longer quote. Okay. Quote, "I turned to look at the other 2 naked girls who stood before the crowd, trying to cover themselves with their hands. Their bowed heads made them look like the children they were. I sneered at the pitiful way the 2 girls cowered before the chief, not even able to look him in the eye." End quote.
So I think Beliria might be a bully.
No, Valeria is the worst, because then she goes on to say that she has a better body, is prettier, and more muscular than the other girls.
Rude.
Honey, you just said that you had a soft curvature to your tummy. Me too, girl. And I'm not saying you can't be pretty and muscular, but like, hey, we're all about body positivity. I don't know how we just read 2 paragraphs about how you look, and then now you're shitting on these other girls.
It's like really bad vibes. I would not want to be in her group for hunting down the beast of my choice to make it into the tribe.
In a shock to no one, she doesn't get better. Like, I hate this woman. I hate her. She's not a girl's girl. Apparently, she is sleeping with the chief's son.
Oh.
Okay. And in hopes that they are going to like be together, like be permanent partners. And I'm going to let you know also that the way she describes the chief looking at her, because apparently he knows she's sleeping with his son. It's like he's low-key jealous because she has such a fucking hot bod.
Oh.
And
not the take I was expecting. Actually.
She's also known to be kind of the loose woman of the tribe, I guess. I didn't know that they had those kind of stereotypes in prehistoric times.
I thought we had much more basic concerns like food and water and shelter and fire.
Yeah.
Then, but
who can say?
I'm not keen on the politics. Who could say?
One by one, they go through the women announcing which beast they're going to tame. And Valeria is just completely judging each of their picks. Like she's just being an asshole. And then she announces she's going to take down the 3-horned king of the grasslands, the Triceratops. And I want you to know that she continues to refer to the Triceratops as the Trihorn. That's just how they... Because I guess you wouldn't have prehistoric names, scientific names in prehistoric times.
They're not classified in that way yet.
No. But at this time, I'm going to ask you to just tell us what they're all about.
Wonderful. Welcome to my report titled, If Baby I'm the Bottom, You're the Triceratops, or Let's Get Horny, the Triceratops story.
I feel like the first one was way more creative. I
thought so too, but then I was worried
the second one
would get the song reference.
But the second one was like that was low-hanging fruit for you,
But also on brand for this podcast. So
also on brand, yes.
Can we complain? No, we can't. Anyway, which one is the Triceratops? Let me tell you. There are many iconic dinosaurs, but one of the most delightful to look at, for me anyway, is the Triceratops. I don't know that we could say that it's true that the Triceratops was the horniest dinosaur, but they had 3 big old horns on their heads, and those were used for impressing mates and fighting off bros for mates. So you be the judge.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I like them. I like them because they have my name in them. So I am.
Wow.
Selfish. I am
the Triceratops. Incredible.
There's so many puns we could go around.
Incredible. Well, instead of those puns, I'd like to open with a really beautiful quote from National Geographic Kids. Oh, actually, before that, I would like to thank all of my sources, which include National Geographic Kids, but also include the American Museum of Natural History, the National History Museum. One of those is in the UK. The other one's the American one, the University of Colorado, and the Dinosaur Database. And
the Dinosaur Database.
The Dinosaur Database. But first, I would like to open with this really good quote that I found from National Geographic Kids.
I'm so glad it's in kids, so I can process it. Thank you.
There are both. Well, I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
From National Geographic Kids. Quote, 2 elephant-sized dinosaurs face each other, showing off their long horns and bony neck frills. They're both strong, fully grown triceratops, and neither backs down. Suddenly, the 2 lurch forward and lock horns, pushing against each other like deer clashing antlers. One loses ground and walks away, defeated. The winner has impressed a nearby female triceratops. End quote.
This is actually so perfect for what's going to happen in our book.
I'm glad.
This is the best quote you could have pulled for later on. Okay.
I'm so glad. And again, yeah, that was in National Geographic Kids. Anyway, according to the National History Museum, this one being the one in the UK, not the American one, the Triceratops was part of the Ceratopsian suborder of dinosaurs, and that's just a type of dinosaurs that look like Sarah.
Hey!
No, it's not.
We're big girls.
Yes. We're also herbivores. No, this is
not true.
There's the type of dinosaur that is an herbivore. It was characterized by, quote, parrot-like beaks, bony frills, and in many cases, horns. So
and we will be talking about that beak.
Oh, dear God. As previously mentioned, Triceratops. Oh my gosh. I'm so rattled.
We are both rattled today by this subject.
It's going to be great. The Triceratops had, an iconic 3 horns. So there's like 2 above their eyes and then 1 kind of above their little nose beak. And then they've got sort of, I don't really know how you'd explain that collary looking thing that
it's almost like a mane if it was made of more like not fur. It's like the shape of a mane.
Although, have you ever seen the meme that's like, because we've only found the bones of dinosaurs, we can't confirm that they didn't look like this and they're like fluffy and fuzzy?
Yes.
What if they're all really cute?
They could be adorable.
They could all be adorable. Anyway, thank you for entertaining that for me. So we've got 3 horns. We've got big. According to National Geographic, the name Triceratops comes from a Greek word that means 3-horned face. So points for originality there, I suppose. These dinosaurs were absolutely huge. If you've been to a museum that has like full put together, I was going to say skeleton. Fossil is what I'm looking for.
But they'll have like the skeleton parts like all lined up, so you
sometimes they do a fully assembled. But these mofos, according to the National History Museum, could be around 9 meters long, which is almost 30 feet long.
Okay.
Almost 30 feet long. That's huge. And around 6 tons, which is 12,000 pounds, which is 5,500 kilograms. I did all of that converting myself, so I hope my math's okay. There are a few different size estimates, but generally they're like around 6 tons or more and around almost 30 feet long, which is just
I'm so glad you mentioned that because we do get into those specifics in the book.
Thank goodness. I don't know if this will help illustrate your book much, but the next segment I'm going to talk about is where did they come from and where did they go and what is their whole deal? Cotton Eye Joe. My handy dandy guide, the Dinosaur Database, said that Triceratops were found in North America during the period that they were around, and that specifically they were in a region that stretched from about Colorado to Canada. And I saw a little map that showed, I think, points where fossils were found from a bunch of Triceratops to kind of show where within this region they live. So
yeah,
if not specified in the book, we can pretend that it's anywhere between Canada and Colorado.
Yeah, because like they talk about these Triceratops being like, what did she say? The king of the grasslands. Is it a grassland creature or is it a mountain? Because when I think Colorado to, Canada, that's also the Rocky Mountain area. So is it a mountainous creature? Okay. Well, if you're a Triceratops, call in.
Please let us know in the comments. Leave us a review. There aren't any left. They're, spoiler alert, all dead. But they were alive during the Cretaceous, sorry if that's not pronounced correctly, period, which was over 60 million years ago. And it was after the Jurassic period. And it was kind of like the last period involving dinosaurs because, spoiler alert, again, we're all pretty sure that they died because of the asteroid that hit Earth.
Yeah.
Additionally, Triceratops ate plants and had shearing teeth to help them eat plants, and they walked on all 4s. And they likely, as I just stated, died from the iconic asteroid that crashed into Earth. And for this, I'd like to pull a quote from the University of Colorado. There's an article that I found that was about some really cool research. Let me find the title because it deserves credit. It was called 5 Things to Know About the Triceratops, an Iconic Western Dinosaur, which beautiful. And then this was written by Daniel Strain and Nicholas Goda. And they said in the article, they quoted geological science professor and fossil vertebrate curator at the Colorado University Museum of Natural History. Her name is Jalen Eberly. And she said, quote, they probably witnessed that catastrophic event and suffered for it.
Oh, so, no mercy.
Sorry, Triceratops. That's too bad.
Trauma.
But don't worry about trauma because now I've got fun facts about the Triceratops. So, according to the American National History Museum, Triceratops horns were bones, which were covered in what is essentially the same material as our fingernails, which I assume means that you could paint them like nails and think of the fashion.
Think of the fashion.
Our friends at the University of Colorado said that the Triceratops horns were more likely used to fight over potential mates and to fight like each other for mates than to be used for something like fighting a T-Rex. And they probably did that too, but mostly it was for being impressive so that they could fuck.
I mean, it's kind of like how those birds have like the fancy feathers and there's nothing there just to, show off to the potential mates.
Yeah. And like they could do that for self-defense too. It's just not like the core point.
Yes.
I can't estimate whether this would be an important thing to know for our book or not, but just so that we all know, Triceratops reproduced via eggs. So
interesting. Not important to the book because I don't tease pregnancy.
Look, we've read some pretty crazy.
We have. I'm not blaming you for bringing it up. I'm
just wanted to cover my bases.
I'm just letting you know it doesn't pertain. You kind of said it like a question, and I answered the question.
I just thought it should.
You just did your job,
just to make sure we knew how that went down.
Got it. Anyway, understood. Heard, chef.
Yes, you're all welcome. I wanted to end on this really great quote from the Colorado University article, which I thought summarized things nicely. It's a little bit longer, but it's worth it. And it was listed under the subhead titled, How Did Triceratops Become So Iconic? This quote comes from Karen Chin, who was interviewed in the article. She was a professor at the Department of Geological Sciences and the curator of paleontology at the Colorado University Museum. So Karen Chin noted that the Triceratops remains one of the world's most famous prehistoric creatures today. They are her 2-year-old grandniece's favorite dinosaur. In part, Chin said that maybe because scientists described the genus in the late 1800s when dinosaurs were first riding into the public consciousness, like that might be why they're so iconic. But the Triceratops is also iconic for another reason. They're just weird.
They are weird, but they're also gentle. Like I think like as a kid too, like T-Rexes are cool, but they're a little scary. Whereas also the fact that we've blown up the concept of a T-Rex in so many aspects in Hollywood and stuff. Anyway, but the fact that like, Triceratops are just fucking chilling. Yeah, they're just chilling.
Like the elephants of dinosaurs.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Nice. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that now you're coming into your research with the perspective of what we might be discussing.
I just wanted to cover my bases. And the horns are to impress people and to fight off other people for mates. I'm sure that won't be relevant soon.
Absolutely not.
And also, in case we needed to know, they did reproduce by fertilizing eggs.
Did not need that one, but I appreciate it. Tuck it in the back of your head. Okay.
We're saving it for later.
So we're back in our scene, naked, middle of the, village.
Yeah.
Square.
Bullying others and very confident in our choice to slay a Triceratops.
Yes. And after her announcement, everybody goes silent. And the chief begs her to reconsider. Apparently, the greatest hunters haven't even been able to survive taking one down, which, yes, I think they can be aggressive if you the expert in dinos, would say that they would be aggressive in the ways that you kind of talked about, like trying to get a mate or trying to protect maybe. But I don't think they're just going around slaying people just for the hell of it.
Yeah. It's like they have teeth for shearing, but that's to eat grass.
Yeah. Yeah. That's to eat those tough plants. So she goes on to say, quote, I intend to show all gathered here I am worthy of being joined to the chief's son, and the killing of a trihorn will prove to you all that I am. Exclamation point. So if you're going to kill a dino, like a Triceratops, I say dino because my niece, bless her beautiful little 3-year-old soul, has a dino toy that she, like a stuffed animal that she brings with her everywhere. It's survived for so long, not sure how. And she calls him Dino. She recently learned the word dynamite. So now she's been kind of referring to him as Dynamite or her as Dynamite.
That's really cute.
So I cannot say dinosaur. I have to say dino.
That's okay. You can continue to say that. Dino.
Thank you. If you're going to kill a dino with like a Triceratops, what would you bring with you?
I was gonna say I'd kill it with kindness because I don't want any part of this.
Because I don't condone
I don't want
violence.
any part of violence against dinosaurs. I would bring an asteroid to crash into the earth.
I would.
That's the only thing that I know works really well.
I'd call up a higher power, one of them, you know, one of the many we've got, and be like,
we have
hey,
Space Force.
No, it's prehistoric times. I'm calling up God, Allah, whoever is up there and be like, hey, I need an asteroid so I can keep getting in this man's pants. Got it?
This man's son's pants.
This man's son's pants. Anyway, well, maybe it's not even pants. It's actually just a scrap of cloth we have covering our loins.
Son's loincloth. Admittedly, they're not that hard to get into, and by that I mean it's a flap of fabric.
And I think she will explain that. So she brings a 6-foot tall spear with a stone head the size of about 2 fists, and she also has a pointed axe. So yeah, I definitely in my brain, no one can. This is an audio medium. No one can see us.
Sorry,
but
I'm doing 2 fists side by side, but Sarah has 1 fist kind of wrapped around the other fist.
Yeah, and I have big hands. So
I did 2. I have little hands, but I did 2 fists kind of side by side because it felt better to me that it was bigger than what happens if you kind of wrap them up in one. Because this is a dinosaur that, as you may remember from mere moments ago, I said was like 30 feet long and weighed 6 tons.
Yeah, and I will also say that I am 6 feet tall. I'm a tall girl. I'm a big girl. And I compare everything to my height. And so I'm like, 6 feet. That's one of me. Like, that's one of me and one of my fists. And I'm just holding a fist above my head. We are visual learners is what you're learning in this podcast. Before she heads out, her boyfriend, son of the chief, and would you like to guess his name? Because you're not going to guess it, but I just want you to think about the names we've had so far. Valeria is her name.
Valeria.
Okay. His name starts with a C. I'll give you that.
I was thinking something prehistoric like rock, but now that I know it's with a C, it's going to be something like Krug.
Krug. Call
Crush.
back.
What?
Call back to our crew.
Oh, yes.
Crew Craig episode. His name is Callard.
Callard?
C-O-U.
Oh.
Are you gonna write this out?
Yeah.
C-O-U-L-A-R-D.
Huh.
Callard? That's all I can think of.
Cola?
Like it's coward or cowlard. Like I can't.
Like courage. Collard.
Curlard.
But there's no R, so just be Collard.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Who could say?
So he comes to her all worried. Like he's just expressing concerns. And her reaction is the following. Quote, I grabbed his hand and placed it on my buttock as I drew him to me, grinding myself against him. End quote.
Oh.
Way to get rid of those concerns.
She is, in case you forgot, absolutely naked right now.
And she's a loose woman, you know?
That is what they said.
That is what she said about herself.
Times.
She then gives him head right there and then. And again, I will give
access.
Yes. I will give the author this for historical accuracy. She talks about pulling back the foreskin.
Because
there you go. no one be getting that off, you know?
We're doing our research.
We are.
Uncut in the prehistoric times.
He then goes down on her, quote, like a dog laps at milk, end quote. I would say a kitten laps at milk.
I'm going to say I don't think that technically either is supposed to have that much milk.
I think that these are terrible comparisons and they are only going to get worse. So after about a page and a half of oral, we get to... I'm telling you.
Just a page and a half of oral.
Well, I want you to think proportionally for a moment. Okay. Page and a half
That's
of them talking about oral sex. We get 2 sentences of them getting it in, like actually getting it in.
Oh.
And then wraps up with the following sentence. Just a few moments later, I was back on my feet and prepared for the hunt. Oh,
Fine.
okay. On to the next. Like,
well,
we get an extremely descriptive oral sex
there was
scene.
a lot of foreplay, so everybody was well ready.
We do love foreplay. When she sets off on her journey, she stops and washes up in the river so the Triceratops won't smell her lovemaking scent.
Yeah, she don't
Question mark
stank.
period.
You know how the Triceratops could smell really well? Something I definitely covered in my research.
Yeah. So
I mean, they might have. I don't think we know that. They do have beaks, though.
I mean, they don't. I didn't know they had this superpower, but add it to the
list.
They
can smell the fuck on you. And they don't like it.
They can smell the fuck out of you. Just
gross.
Ugh. Okay. She's got this plan of action that I couldn't quite follow because, again, I will reiterate that sometimes when authors write scenes like this, they don't articulate what the scene, like, I think as the author, you're writing it and you know how it should look in your head, but then it doesn't convey on page.
Sure.
What I'll say is that she was going to like try and get their attention. Oh, sorry. I totally missed a whole ass bullet point. Okay. She comes across a pair of 2 Triceratops. Okay.
Oh, great.
There's 2 of them. There's a
woman. Hold on. Let me try to think of the joke. Yeah, it's going to be a threesome joke with try in it.
If you have to think this hard, I'm not going to stop the podcast just so you can think of a threesome joke involving Triceratops. Absolutely not. That's our intro right there. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's I'm not letting you have the opportunity. I'm not.
It's not in my head, and there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. There's nothing in her head. Okay, so there's a female and then there's a male. And the male is about 6 feet tall and 20 feet long. And I have a question next to it. Is this accurate? And I guess that's on the smaller end.
I mean, and in fairness, I didn't see a lot that was talking about the height of them. I really only got the length and the weight.
Yeah, which is fine. It's accurate. Maybe he's a short king. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll try and on the fly look it up, and then I'll report back in if I find anything.
Okay. So she kind of has this plan of action. Like I said, couldn't quite follow it, but she was gonna like try and grab their attention. I don't know, and then do something. I don't know. So I'm just gonna tell you what happens in her own words. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Quote, stealing myself for the surge of violence and which would follow, which I don't know what that phrasing is. Back into the quote. I hurled a fist-sized rock at the smaller of the 2 beasts, clipping on of its ears. Sorry. I just realized I meant to say clipping one of its ears, and I just said on.
Clipping on its ears. You just
clipping one of its ears with the stone. I screamed a challenge at the pair and made threatening gestures with the spear. End quote. She's like, how do I get this sentiment across that we are now fighting? I'm just gonna
challenge you.
I challenge you to a duel.
Also, I have absolutely terrible news.
No. What?
I'm afraid that these might be Tricera children because a Triceratops is usually around 9 feet tall.
Everybody's going to ignore that. He's just a short king. This is not about children.
9 feet tall.
We are ignoring Hope and her job. Okay. So since she attacked the female because of this wonderful plan.
She's such a bully. She
hates women. She is not in the Barbie Tay-Swift era. Okay.
2024. Well, it wasn't 2024 then. Never mind.
Forget it. So since she attacks the female, the male gets pissed off and starts charging after Valeria to protect the female, right? Because he feels threatened.
Right.
She turns and runs the other direction. I just think at this point she's stupid. Like, I genuinely think she's fucking dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not impressed with her methods.
No, and she gets to this like base of a cliff, right? So there's just kind of this rock wall. And she thinks, I'm going to try and get the Triceratops to run at me, and I will jump out of the way and it'll wedge its horns into the rock wall and it'll get stuck and then I can stab it. So she is apparently her life flashes before her eyes for a moment. And a lot of memories come to the surface, including an entire paragraph which reflects on some really gross stuff involving her father being predatory. I'm not sure why this had to happen, or it has no other reference to anything else in the book.
Her entire life flashed before her eyes.
Yeah, and
that's part of it.
I guess. Why did we have to do this? I don't know.
In the first time maybe on this podcast, I for sure didn't write the book.
You did not write this book, I promise you. She's so focused on this memory that she doesn't move out of the way quite in time. And when she does, she kind of gets slashed in the side by one of the horns. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Her plan worked, though, because the horns do become embedded into the base of the cliff. And just as she's about to kill the beast, it like somehow gets free and kind of throws her out of the way and she becomes unconscious. Okay.
Sure.
And so we're going to have the iconic next scene, which is that she wakes up in a
cave
with
dinosaurs.
I was like, there's no other way this could have gone. She either was going to wake up with the motherfucker already romancing her or like in a cave.
No, it's my favorite trope when a big creature who inevitably you're gonna fuck accidentally harms you, and then while you're unconscious whisks you off to their cave, which is more convenient for lovemaking.
Not sure how a Triceratops which walks on 4 legs got her to the cave.
Oh, wait, here. No, I forgot this one. Long nose, horn, just kind of scoop her up with the horn.
She's extremely injured because I'm not going to get into it, but it's very graphic how gross that slash on her side is. It's like flapping around.
Yeah, well, you still gotta, that's still how you do it.
Oh, okay.
Gotta pick her up. Not like
you
just try to like get the horn underneath her, kind of rest her, like put your head back up, rest her on the bridge.
Rest her on the bridge of your nose, kind of.
Yeah, like,
but I'm still thinking about the fact that half of her side is just busted open.
Well, anyway. That is a problem, but there's nothing you can do for it at that point. You got to get her in the cave for sexy time.
So I don't know how spicy things are going to happen with her being that cut up, because we honestly never really reference it again. Even though, because she wakes up with like some salve or something on it.
The way of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I guess he just like patted that on with his beak. I don't know. He just has like ointments laying around that he just scoops up with his little beak and puts on her.
He goes and just starts kind of using big unwieldy dinosaur legs to make salves and put
it That's how I view it. And she sees that at the mouth of the cave, there's no one there but the one Triceratops. And he's like almost keeping guard. And half of its left horn was snapped off, and there's blood coming out of the wound. And for just 1 second, Valeria kind of feels bad.
It's the nicest she's been this whole book to any living creature.
Oh, it's just going to get better. So I want to give you this quote to really set the scene. Quote, "The tri-horn looked as if it were sad as it looked at me. And I realized the big male was alone. Its mate had left, probably because I had caused it to lose a horn." End quote. She does this thing where she just assumes its motives and stuff.
Yeah, so this is definitely what happened.
I did this shit. So therefore, he's alone now. And it's all about me.
Oh, he must be sad. He's sad because that mate has left him. She left him because of me and what I've done to him.
Not because he caused, maybe he was a part of a Ponzi scheme. Maybe he cheated on her.
I don't know.
Maybe they were in the middle of a breakup when she threw that rock, and that's why he got pissed off.
To do with you, Valeria.
Yeah, Valeria. Gosh, it's not about you. So he kind of backs her into the cave because she's trying to get out, and he blocks her and is like backing her into the cave. And there's a pile of leaves that make up a bed, and she kind of like collapses onto the bed, and he like towers over her and sniffs her. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to do kind of 2 back-to-back quotes.
Yes.
Quote, His beak ran gently down my thigh, making me shiver as I felt his hot breath working toward my groin. Going on, she realizes, quote, as I had been the cause of this creature losing his mate, he had decided that I was going to be the replacement, end quote.
The replacement.
No, stop. we're done. We're done on that one. I just hate this bitch for constantly thinking she knows exactly what's going on.
Look, she is the main character in her story, and it's a really interesting story.
She really is doing it for the plot.
The plot is crazy.
She interprets another one of his gestures as him being like, you broke my horn, so you've got to make it up to me.
You know how dinosaurs be doing that.
I guess. So while this sexual interaction starts with Valeria kind of being a little frightened, she's like kind of into the seduction because, you know, he takes that beak downtown is what I'm going to tell you. And he licks her butt.
Wow.
And it's not too bad, she says.
It's not
too bad.
Neat.
I have to read the next quote out of necessity because it's my duty to this podcast. If anybody knows me and they are like, Sarah, I never want to hear you say those words again, that's fine. We will never discuss it. Okay. I know I have people who listen who semi know me.
Just really bracing myself. Okay. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Quote, I turned and saw his vast cock and his balls, both of which hung like the pendulous breasts of a pregnant woman. End quote. Why?
Both the balls I understand, but also the penis hung like breasts?
I guess so. Why are we making these comparisons? What is with these comparisons? I don't like them. I'm not enjoying them. We could make them a little more fanciful.
It doesn't really help me envision the penis that well because this comparison makes my brain confused. I get the balls.
I like the pendulous word really gets me because I think of pendulum. Pendulum.
Well, I think that's the
the
point.
But like breasts of a pregnant woman. What about our small titty committee? What about
his committee? Balls were not like the small titty committee. His balls were like a pregnant lady's breasts.
I just think it's, I don't know. I think it's
like it is what it is.
A little exclusive. I'm just saying. So then she says, quote, I'm sorry, I'm quoting so much of this book. You practically have read it at this point.
I'm really happy. It's only 13 pages. So honestly, it's like a read along and I'm really happy.
Quote, I decided that I probably could get all this meat in me, but I had no idea how we would fit together and no way of asking him. You're right. You don't. So maybe just don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, I just feel like we're making a lot of assumptions about the intent of this Triceratops. But
I mean, he did go down on her and lick her asshole. But maybe he's just cleaning her up. It's kind of like a cat.
Who could say?
Sorry, I'm done. So sure enough, they make it work. And after pretty much doggy style intercourse, they fall asleep and she wakes up and the cave is empty. She internally admits that it was the best sex she ever had, but doesn't want to do it again. Okay.
That's fair.
I mean, like, I don't know how I feel about that.
This Triceratops has a dick and balls like boobs of a pregnant lady.
Yeah. She runs back to the village and she like collapses at the side of the village. They all come get her and she's offered food and water and the chief and his son come and they're all worried because they haven't heard from her. She was supposed to come back earlier. And the chief asks, were you successful in your hunt? And she says, no, my chief. He asks, he didn't ask. He says, as I suspected. And she says, but I have found a way to trap them, keep them from attacking us. The end.
Fuck them.
What? Here's my thing. What the fuck is up with these abrupt endings? I am done with them.
Cliffhanger. Is it an abrupt ending or can we have a sequel?
I think there are other books kind of like I can't imagine there's a crossover though.
In universe.
I don't know. I have so many questions. Where did our Triceratops go?
The Ravished by the Triceratops cinematic universe. Well, he dumped her after sleeping with her. And that,
he's like, you're kind of a bitch.
It's called a one night stand. He was like, this is fun, but you have a shitty personality.
You are a shitty person. And then my other question is, she's like, I love how that's how she, first of all, is she in the clan now? Even though she didn't tame the beast, or did she?
Well, maybe she, well, first of all, I would argue that it seems like she did. And second of all, even if she didn't kill the Triceratops, she did maybe one better, which is figure out how to trap them. And the trap is her honeypot.
But I think what the real trap is her trying. I don't think it's her admitting that she fucked a Triceratops.
I just assume fucking the Triceratops is the way to make them not attack you.
No, I think it's like running and getting their horns embedded into the rock wall.
Because then they'll want to have sex with you.
I don't know, Hope, because nothing about this ending is clear. It's a 13-page book that had a lot of shit in it, okay? Okay. Diversity.
First time we've had dinosaur representation that I can think of.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be honest, none there. Other than the dinosaur, I guess. I don't know. So we're just gonna skip to the plot. What do you think of the plot?
What do I think of the plot? Obviously, I love this story. But also, like, I think that it would be wrong of me to be like, this is chock full of plot. But also, there was some deep backstory that we kind of skimmed over that is kind of a lot of plot. So I'll give it a 3.
Okay. I'm giving it a 4 because you know what? For 13 fucking pages. 13 pages. And, you know, you made the main character a bitch, I guess. I don't know.
Absolute cold-hearted bitch.
Smut, as the person who, I mean, you practically read the Smut with me. And there was more description. Actually, the scene between her and the boyfriend at the beginning was longer than her and the Triceratops. But I will give it credit for giving me 2 sex scenes in 13 pages.
Pretty good.
So I'm giving it a 4.
Nice.
What are you going to give it?
Yeah, I'll give that a 4 as well.
All right.
It's weird, but it was there.
In our wonderful document, you will see a link to one of the best indie book covers I have ever.
Wow. Oh, wow, Sarah. Oh, it's beautiful. It's the best book cover I've ever seen with my eyeballs in my whole life.
Please give us a description of this wonderful.
So what we have title right at the top in an interesting, this could have been in Microsoft Word font that fades from white to pink. Ravished by the Triceratops. The background image is a forest. And I think like a real picture of some trees in a wood. Not a very dense forest. Actually kind of sparse and actually kind of a trail. And I know there's a trail because on that trail is laying a woman who is in a swimsuit on her back.
Yep.
And also the smallest Triceratops I have ever seen in my whole entire life. He is next to her.
He is the size of her torso.
He is a thick dog size Triceratops.
He looks like the size of Deku. I'm going to be honest, your dog.
If this Triceratops these things weigh so many tons. Like 6 tons.
It doesn't make sense.
He can't be this small.
And
then this is Christie Sims on the bottom. Sorry.
Yes. What would you like to give it out of 5? Because I'm giving it a 4.
1 million out of 5. Please.
I'm giving it a 4. Obviously, I'm giving it 4 under context of what this whole book was. I think this is exactly the type of thing I would want. I am taking a point off for how small the goddamn Triceratops.
No, it just adds to the charm.
Okay, so what are you giving it?
I'm giving it a 5.
Oh my gosh.
This is my absolute all-time favorite book cover.
It is so good.
Triceratops is so tiny.
It is so small. We both gave it 80%, which is honestly way more than I thought we were going to give it, considering how annoying our main character was.
I'm unsurprised.
But say lovey. So what is your say smut moment?
What is my... It's honestly this book cover. What is my say smut moment? I had so much fun, and also it went so fast that, man, what do I even pick? I guess this is going to be kind of like a different take on a Say Smut. I just really wasn't prepared for the character to be this unlikable in personality.
No, exactly. And the thing is at first I was like, oh, they're trying to make her unlikable because they're going to give her character growth over these 13 pages. And
what a hilarious thing to expect, Sarah.
but like the crazy thing is in the description, specifically on Amazon, it says Valeria's pride has gotten her into trouble again. And then so like the author admits that she has a prideful mindset and she's an asshole, but like they do nothing to revive that. Like they do nothing to help that. So my Say Smut moment is going to be the fact that the descriptions of absolutely everything were compared to things that we did not need. Like the fact that an erect penis of a Triceratops and its balls were compared to the breasts of a pregnant woman. What else do we have? There was the fact that her hips were only described as childbearing hips if she so desired.
I appreciate the caveat because it's giving very me. Like, I have a nice hip. I know what they're intended for by nature, but are they going to be used for that? No.
And I like the assumptions she made over the course of the entire situation. I
think Valeria lives in a land of her own Delulus.
Yeah, I bet that like it was one of those things where she can change the narrative of what happened to validate what happened because the Triceratops was silent. Was he silent or was he silenced? Is what Oprah would ask.
Yeah, we should revisit and look at the finer points of the book.
Do you have any other Say Smut moments?
I mean, that
the whole fucking book. I'm gonna.
That pretty much does it for me. The whole book was 113-page Say Smut moment for me.
Well, this was delightful. Happy March, everybody. You can find us if you so choose on TikTok, Instagram, and not Twitter because I'm not even trying there anymore at Say Smut Podcast. Additionally, we'd love to hear your book recommendations. So send them.
Hey, just send them.
Send them.
Just send them on over.
Send it our way via email at saysmutpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we'd love it if you popped us a rating or review on the podcast platform of your choosing. Don't send mean stuff just to send mean stuff. Like if I did something to you in middle school and you're like, I just want to spite Sarah's life. I mean, you can, but just judge us actually on the podcast.
What we're saying is don't be a Valeria. Be an unnamed Triceratops instead.
Yeah. Also, don't judge us based on the content of the book. We didn't write it. We didn't write this.
Or do, because we did elect to put it on our podcast. Whatever.
That's true. And with that said, stay smutty. Go. I don't even know how to finish this one. I'm going to be honest.
Just go.
Just go. Just go. Stay smutty and go.
Get out of here.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.